Hello and welcome to week 5. We're spending another week on reading the undisputed Pauline letters. At this time, I want to use rhetorical criticism. Rhetoric was one of the most important, um, pretty much the core curriculum, I think, for education in the Roman Empire. And you can, if you want to read more about it, of course, Aristotle has a writing on it. Um, if you study Augustine at all, he talks about studying rhetoric. So Paul, as an educated citizen of the Roman Empire, would have been aware of rhetoric and certainly uses it. And so we want to look at that as we read his letters, because again, if we know what Paul is doing with his rhetoric, it affects how we understand what he's trying to say. And so, in that regard, we're going to read 1 Corinthians 14 29 through 40, which is part of an extended section of, I think, diatribe, where Paul is responding to some questions brought to him by a member of the church that he had founded in Corinth. And he uses this sort of dialogue. He will quote what they are asking him or what they are saying, and then he responds to it. And so that's what we want to look at. So again, rhetoric was really important component of reading and writing in Paul's day. All of his letters are written to specific churches, either addressing concerns that they have expressed or addressing something that he is concerned about, that he's heard about them. And so he is making arguments, trying to convince people of things. And so that's what we want to study. I find it a little troubling, I have to confess, that to think about rhetoric, because I think in this day and age when we are often tried to, we're, so much of the rhetoric, we're either people are trying to convince us to buy something, or especially in an election year, we get a lot of rhetoric, but it's still, so it's helpful to analyze what is the technique that's being used. And we have to acknowledge that Paul was using techniques because he was often in dispute with other teachers. Um, and so that's what we want to look at. How does he make his arguments, and the way he makes them affects how we understand what he's saying. So in this week, then, we're looking at his letter to the Corinthian church. Corinth was a city in Greece that was set on like an isthmus. It became a place of commerce, and there was quite a bit of wealth there. But there was also quite a bit of commerce between cultures, and some of it not all that pleasant. So Paul is writing to this church that's a very worldly church, and he's addressing their concerns and the things he's heard about them. Um, and we're going to look at his persuasive techniques.